My initial reaction when companies announced that they had made transparent shells for the Steam Deck was ain't no way I'm going to do that. That's a huge undertaking. If you go to iFixit's website and you look at the instructions for going through and taking all of the parts out of your Steam Deck and putting it all into a new shell, they say that it's 3 to 5 hour investment. And they say it is difficult. Now, I tend not to take electronics apart. And the reason for that is because I have very shaky hands and I don't know what the hell I'm doing. But there's been a few times where I've stepped out of my comfort zone in order to make a video for this channel. The way I look at it is I don't tend to mess around with electronics. And so if I can figure out how to do something, then anybody can figure out how to do it. So I decided to get a Steam Deck shell replacement and tear everything apart and put it all back together in one of these transparent shells. Now, JSOX did send me the transparent shell for free, but they're not sponsoring this. They asked me if I was going to make a video. I said I might make a video. You can send it if you want. And it sat on the shelf behind me for a couple of weeks. But eventually, the curiosity got the better of me. I kept thinking about it. Is somebody as inexperienced as me able to follow the steps that are laid out in front of me and take an entire Steam Deck apart and put it all back together without making a huge mistake? And that's what I did yesterday in a 7-hour live stream. I sat down right here at my desk, I set up my cameras, and I did a 7-hour live stream with people watching, and I went through the whole process so that you can see what the entire process is like. Now, obviously, most people are not going to watch a 7-hour video, but if you want to watch a 7-hour video, it is linked in the description down below. So what was that process like, you know, the short version? So let's talk about that. In the box is pretty much everything that you need in order to do this modification. It comes with, obviously, the front plate and a big tray that you can put all of the parts that you pull out of your Steam Deck as you're working. It also comes with a container filled with every screw that you're going to need during this process, just in case you lose any when you're taking it apart. You have the replacements that are there available to you, and each one of the little slots in that box is labeled with the size of the screw that goes into it, because the Steam Deck has different size screws for different components as you go through. It also comes with a Phillips screwdriver, which seemed to me like very, very high quality, a spudger, and a suction cup in order to handle the glass on the front. Now, I was talking to my friend Kerry, aka The Fox, and he ended up putting on an Extreme Rate case. He got a purple one from Extreme Rate, but the JSOX had also sent him one, and he said that he ended up using the JSOX tools with his Extreme Rate case because the tools were a higher quality. I don't know, because I don't have the Extreme Rate case, but overall I can say that the quality of the tools in this box are pretty fantastic. Also included in the kit is a little QR code that takes you to a YouTube video that shows you the step-by-step process of how to take it apart. And this is where I found some frustrations, because in the description of that YouTube video from JSOX that shows you all of the things that you have to do to take it apart, there is a written guide. And if you click on that written guide, the written guide and the video guide are in different orders. And that might not seem like a big deal, just use one guide over the other, but the video guide doesn't tell you what size any of the screws are. So as you're taking your Steam Deck apart and you're looking at the screws, you're like, I don't know what size screw this is, so I don't know which place to put it in the little box that they gave you. So, okay, let's go to the written guide. The written guide does tell you the size of the screws and does have pictures, but it goes in a different order than the video guide. And I wanted to use the video guide because I really wanted to make sure that I didn't miss anything. So I ended up having to pause the video and then scroll back and forth through the written guide in order to find out which screws I was taking out at different points in time. And then when I got everything taken apart and I was putting it all back together, I had to do everything in reverse and figure out which screws went where. I really wish that the written guide that JSOX had given us and the video went in the same order, or I wish that they had told us on screen what size screws were as we took them out and put them back in. That would have made the whole process a whole lot easier, and it would have taken me a lot less time to actually pull off. Speaking of the guide, there was one thing in the video guide that they completely left out that was incredibly important and took me an inordinate amount of time, and that is dealing with glue. Oh my God, the glue that they use to put the Steam Deck together is absolutely some of the strongest, stickiest, nastiest glue that I have ever had to deal with in my life, and it took me, and I'm not exaggerating, 2 hours to clean the glue off of the Steam Deck and off of the Steam Deck screen once I got it separated. You see, the way that you have to do this project is you got to take the back off the Steam Deck, pull all of the components out. Then once you've got all the components out, you flip the device over, you use that suction cup on the glass, and then you get a hair dryer and you heat up the glue so it starts to lose its hold, and then you can pull the screen off. It takes a long time. The glass got so hot that I didn't want to touch it, but once you got it off of there, then you got to clean all of the old glue off before you put new adhesive on. Once I got all of the glue cleaned off, then I was able to take the rest of the parts out of the Steam Deck and put them into the new shell. Then it was time to apply the new adhesive. The adhesive that came with the kit comes in 4 stripes for each side of your Steam Deck screen. You take all of the parts out, you put them back in the new case, and then you need to put down this adhesive and then put the screen on top of that adhesive. The adhesive is very, very thin strips, and you get 4 chances to get it right for each side. It took me all 4 tries on one of the sides, I can't remember which side, in order to get it lined up correctly. And even though I got it lined up correctly, once I put the screen down, a little bit of the adhesive did squeeze out on the side, and that's something that I'm going to have to try and find a way to clean up. If you have advice on how to clean that up, let me know in the comments down below that like button. All right, once I had that done, then screwing things back together was something that I was going to have to start. And the Steam Deck uses self-tapping screws. So what that means is it's much easier to unscrew a screw than it is to put a new screw into a new case. And that made me think that I had made a mistake or used the wrong screw in a certain place. And it really worried me the entire time that I was ruining this case, or that I was going to strip a screw head, because I had to push really hard, but not too hard, because I didn't want to break the case. I ended up getting all of the screws back in. I went to turn it on, and then what happened was really frustrating. I had forgotten to hook up the motherboard ribbon cable, so I had to take it all back apart again, hook up that ribbon cable, put everything back together, and then get it to turn on, and then, yes, it turned on. I was super, super happy about that. Once I got it to turn on, this was around the 7-hour mark of the stream. I said, hey everybody, I'm just gonna put the back plate back on and I'm all done with it for now. We did a couple of tests of the controls and I was pretty happy with it. The next day, when I went, this morning actually, I went to use it and my quick access menu button felt a little bit spongy. It didn't feel quite clicky enough, and those aren't clicky at all to begin with anyway. So I turned it over, I took it apart again, I checked, and the membrane that was under my quick access menu button was not in the right place. So I put that back in the right place, put everything back together, and then my buttons wouldn't work. Like, no buttons would work. Not the plus, not the plus and minus, not the D-pad, none of the face buttons were working. The joysticks weren't working. The only thing that would actually work were the track pads. So I ended up taking it all apart again and looking around for a problem. I found a ribbon cable that looked like it was just a little bit off axis. I ended up taking that, or unhooking it, hooking it back up a few times and turning it back on again. And finally, after many tries, I was able to get it to work. So once I got it to work, I sealed it up and it is now all set and done, and I'm super happy with the mod. But would I do it again? Well, it took me 7 hours the first time, so the next time that I did it obviously wouldn't take me 7 hours. I'd be able to do it a little bit faster. Plus, I was doing it as a live stream and I was stopping to talk to chat about stuff, so 7 hours for me is not going to be 7 hours for you. If I can do it, anybody can do it. And that's the reason why I wanted to make this video. I wanted to make this video to show people that this is not a skill issue. The thing that you need to have in order to do this modification is patience. You got to go slow, read everything twice, take your time. Patience is the thing that you need in order to complete this, not skill. And also be willing to risk $650 if you screw it up. Anyway, if you enjoyed this video, you will probably enjoy this video right here. From the Nerd Nest, I'm Bill. Stay rad, everybody.